Okay, so if you just saw the list online, you see it on social media, you may miss a couple of the tidbits that Mel puts in there. Here's a couple things that I take away from reading through what Mel wrote about each pick that I think is notable for Bears fans. So this is what Mel Kiper has. The Bears selecting number 1. They take Caleb Williams, quarterback from USC. The Commanders are number 2. They select Jaden Daniels, the quarterback from LSU. Number 3, the Patriots. They take Drake May, quarterback from North Carolina. So 3 quarterbacks off the board in the first 3 picks. Arizona is at 4. They take Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State. And the 5th pick would go to the Chargers, and they take Brock Bowers, tight end from Georgia. Abdallah, as we scroll down to the 9th pick, where the Bears have their 2nd pick in the first round, the one that they owned originally, Mel Kiper has the Bears taking Rome Odunze, the wide receiver from Washington. And so the Bears would be leaving the draft in the first round with Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. If I told you a month ago that that's a realistic possibility, I think you'd be all about it. What about today? If the Bears could walk away with this today, when we get to the NFL draft, Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams, to me, that would be the perfect situation for the Chicago Bears.
Copy this draft, send it up to Ryan Poles so you don't need to do any more research. Mel just did it all for you. This is it. Package it. Get whatever you can. Obviously, if you get Rome Odunze, you can't control whether or not he's there. The only one you can control is number 1. That's it. And I think they're leaning in the direction. I think most analysts and most NFL insiders believe that that's the way that they're going to go, is they're going to take Caleb Williams number 1. I hope that Rome Odunze is there at 9. That would be great. I'd take Malik Neighbors too. That would be great also if they switch places. That's fine with me. I would take either of those wide receivers because I think those are the 2 most obvious needs for the Bears. I don't think they're going to go offensive line at 9. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to take left tackle there. I also don't think that they're going to go edge rusher because, according to this, Dallas Turner goes number 8 to Alabama. Now, I believe, I'm scrolling.
He would go to Atlanta.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
He went to Alabama.
He went to Alabama.
Yes.
He's going to Atlanta. That is correct. I don't see, let me just, what I told Carmen to do last week.
What'd you tell him to do?
So Jared Verse doesn't go until 19 to the Rams.
Okay.
I would be fine if they took Verse there too, if the wide receivers aren't there. But this to me is perfect. This is great. You address your quarterback situation and you get another weapon for said quarterback. You already have DJ Moore, who had a great season, established himself as already a number 1 wide receiver. Now we saw what he can do with we can all agree that Justin Fields is probably the best quarterback he's ever had, and that hopefully whatever the Bears draft at 1, it's Caleb Williams, will be an upgrade there, and that will help DJ Moore. Now adding Rome Odunze will only help the passing game even more, open it up even more, because Darnell Mooney basically disappeared this season. So you do that. Hopefully Tyler Scott can take a step up after his rookie year here. You already have Cole Kmet, so I don't see them taking Brock Bowers. Plus, he's already off the board, according to Mel. So I like this draft. I think it's perfect. To me, it's great.
Okay, so if you just saw the list online, you see it on social media, you may miss a couple of the tidbits that Mel puts in there. Here's a couple things that I take away from reading through what Mel wrote about each pick that I think is notable for Bears fans. One, I know that if you just say the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams, that means you're moving off of Justin Fields. And there's a lot of people in this city that are very upset at that. They don't want the Bears to move off of Justin Fields. There are a couple things, though, that I think Mel is hinting at that I think Bears fans, if you want Fields to stay, might be able to live with this idea of them moving on to Caleb Williams if the Bears were able to do what Mel is suggesting. In the part where he's talking about Caleb Williams going to the Bears, Mel then finishes with a paragraph where he points to the Bears don't have ideal leverage to trade Fields at this moment, but it only takes 2 suitors to create a market. And he says, remember, the Cardinals traded Josh Rosen 1 year after drafting him, number 10 overall, and they got a second-round pick from the Dolphins for Josh Rosen. Now, Bears fans, we know this. Justin Fields is a way better quarterback than Josh Rosen. So think about it. If that's the basement of what you could get for Justin Fields, a second-round pick, okay, I would want more, but that's still doing pretty good, right? And then Mel continues on, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Bears get a first-rounder in return for Justin Fields. Now, let's be real here. If you're a pro Fields guy, and I laid out that you could start over a quarterback clock with a perhaps more talented quarterback in Caleb Williams, and you get back a first-round pick for Justin Fields, I don't see how you can argue with us that the Bears should keep Fields. You see what I'm saying? Like, you no longer have a case. If you can get a first-round pick for Fields, a middle-of-the-road quarterback at this moment, who people hope would turn into something, but he hasn't done it after 3 seasons, you can't argue with that anymore. You don't have anything to come back at us with, right? Like, if you could get a first-round pick and get all this stuff, that's a complete steal. So that's the first part. I would also point to, you mentioned the 8th pick, and that's where Atlanta sits. And Mel goes on to say in the paragraphs about Atlanta and taking Dallas Turner that he didn't put a quarterback there. And he only has 3 quarterbacks in the top 10 of his mock draft. And what he's pointing to is that he wonders if a trade for Justin Fields from Atlanta might be the spot. That Atlanta may want or be interested in Fields if and when they hire a new head coach. Which they have not done so far. He also goes on to say that if the Falcons go with Jim Harbaugh, he would not be surprised to see J.J. McCarthy go at that spot at 8. So there's a lot that like adds context to what Mel is pointing to. But if the Bears were able to get a first-round pick for Justin Fields, you absolutely have to trade him, right?
Yes. Yeah. I would say if you get offered Atlanta's second-round pick at 43, you take it. You take that straight up. Give me that. Because you don't have a second-round pick right now, and you don't have a pick right now until 75. So you're sitting on your hands the whole rest of the first round, the beginning of the second day. You're watching all these guys come off the board while you're just sitting on your hands, and I don't think Ryan Poles is going to do that. So I think at minimum, you're getting a second-round pick. And I think Atlanta makes a lot of sense. Mel does say that it makes more sense for J.J. McCarthy if they hire Harbaugh, which we don't know if that's going to happen. It seems like there are rumors circulating on Twitter that they're very close to a deal with the Chargers in L.A., so that would kind of negate that. But, again, you don't know what's going to happen. I think that if you can get a second for Fields, awesome. If you can get a first, drive him to the airport. Like, help him pull up Zillow and find him a house in Atlanta if you have to. I mean, if you get a first-round pick for Justin Fields and it's the 8th pick, and you could then take Dallas Turner and Rome Odunze, are you kidding me? You're getting your quarterback you hope for the future. You're getting the best edge rusher in the draft, and you're getting one of the best wide receivers in the draft. Right there. Top 10. 3 top 10 picks.
You want to talk about duplicating what the Lions are doing, where they have a stacked roster? Both lines, position players, a team that's going to the NFC Championship game this weekend against the 49ers. I mean, if Ryan Poles was able to pull that off, and I know that we're talking hypotheticals and we're talking about a mock draft 1.0 for Mel Kiper Jr., and we're sitting here on January 23rd. But if Ryan Poles was able to pull all of that off, trade Fields for a number 1 pick, draft the quarterback that he wants, whoever that is, if it's Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Caleb Williams, whoever that quarterback is, get the guy, and then also add pieces, firepower for that quarterback after adding DJ Moore last year. I mean, that would be masterful work if he was able to pull that off. I would say the only problem is everyone in the NFL knows that that's what the Bears are going to be angling to do. But as Mel says, you only need 2 teams that are interested to create a market. And Justin Fields is not a bad quarterback. And I think that's what gets lost in translation in all of this debate about the Bears quarterback situation, is that Fields is not bad. He's a decent quarterback. He's played some really good games. He's also struggled at times. And the question is whether or not the ceiling is there that we thought it would be when he was drafted in the first place. And I think the fact that it's taken so long for him to kind of really get to that point as a starting quarterback is why I'm willing to see if there's someone else out there that you could draft who makes quicker decisions in the pocket.
Yeah.
Because like Fields has all the tools, it's just something doesn't click. Something isn't there when you see Fields and you see pressure in his face and you see what NFL defenses are doing to him. It's like he's a step slow when coming up with how to react to what smart defensive minds are throwing at him. And I know not all quarterbacks are able to do that, but I think what we've seen over the course of time in these playoffs with Jordan Love, with CJ Stroud, is if a young guy gets it, he gets it quick. Mm-hmm. And the decision making is there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where I've definitely shifted my opinion from, hey, they can win with Fields, to I think they should find a guy who can make quick decisions in the pocket and then make the throws, because that guy's going to help the offense more than just the super athletic player who we hope figures it out.
No, and I agree with you 100%. I think that we've seen enough that if we know what Justin's floor is, right? And this was the point that I believe that Greg Olson made to Waddle and Silva yesterday. If you know what his floor is, and this quarterback that you bring in's floor is at least what Justin Fields' floor is, then you make the change. Because I would say that right now the ceiling for Caleb Williams or one of these quarterbacks, we don't know what it is, so it's higher just because we don't know what it is. I mean, we've seen what he can do in college. We've seen all the analysts. We've heard the comparisons to Patrick Mahomes. You know, the way he looked when he came out of college. Not saying that Caleb Williams is going to go to 6 NFC Championship games when he gets here automatically, but the way that Mahomes looked coming out of college is the way that Caleb is being compared. He's saying that's how he looked. So take a chance on him. I don't see how you could stick with Fields at this point when you have that out there. Also, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Falcons. Just going through, like the Raiders, in Mel's draft here, it says that they're moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo most likely. Aiden O'Connell did not look good in his few starts. They're going to need a quarterback. They have the pick right after Atlanta in the second round, so you could get 44 from Las Vegas. That wouldn't be horrible. I would do that if they called. But there's not really, I don't see a lot of teams that would move on from their quarterback to Justin Fields besides Atlanta and Las Vegas.